Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Cultural Playbook. I am Ashley Hollis, and today's episode is very special because I'm sitting down with someone I literally lived with 24/7 under cameras. Katherine Woodman from Big Brother 27.
I'm here. Hello.
And today we're doing this a little differently because we're not just going to talk about gameplay. We're also going to talk about who Katherine actually is, what people didn't get to see, growth, grief, relationships, strategy. And yes, we are absolutely going to address some of the house drama because the fans, y'all still have questions. And so
They need to know.
Katherine, welcome.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to have you. I literally actually haven't seen you since Florida.
I know.
There's so much to catch up on, but let's talk a little bit about more like who is Katherine. So before Big Brother, before the edits, before the internet opinions, because y'all are very opinionated out there, who is Katherine Woodman in real life?
Honestly, like run-of-the-mill normal girl. Like I was so shocked to get involved with Big Brother because I was like trying to find like all these unique things about me, and it like caused so much reflection on myself. And I really realized that like what makes me me is just my personality, you know? I'm not somebody with like crazy hobbies or like does this, that, whatever. I mean, I love to travel and I work hard and I went to school and I loved being in school and all of this stuff, but it's like what's actually like weird about me, you know? And I was like reflecting on myself so much and I finally realized like it's literally just my personality, like the way I talk, the way I present myself, like it's maybe a little bit different than other people, and I was like excited to find that out.
Yes, absolutely. And I feel like something, the viewers definitely, I feel like didn't get to see, honestly, either of us, I don't feel like was a fully accurate depiction of who we were.
Right?
And so, but you know what? That's what we're here for this podcast today. Okay. But what does a perfect normal day look like for you?
Perfect normal day when I'm not going to go to work. Now is typically like I try to force myself to wake up kind of early. It doesn't work out most days. 9 o'clock is early for me, but I've been like a lot more into fitness lately. I,
Did
yeah,
that?
just a little bit of trauma from the house. Because I was like, I could be so much better at these comms if I just like got up. So I have like really
But you
implemented
were the
that.
World Cup queen. Okay, and we'll get into that later, but you were the World Cup queen. Give yourself some credit. Give yourself some credit.
It hurt a little bit more than it should have. So I was like, I don't
You
really want
have
to be
won the
feeling
World
pain like that. Like this hurts. So yeah, I'm working on my triceps. I'm holding some planks. Getting my steps in. Honestly, like if I have the day off, I'll work out like 2 times a day. Um, yeah, I know.
She's a gym baddie for real.
I'm being crazy. But yeah, I mean that I love cooking. I didn't cook a lot in the house until closer to the end of my time
Yes,
there.
you're such a good cook, guys. She made
Thank
the
you.
best mac and cheese. Like she really put her foot in it. It was giving Black Mama from the South. Okay, she nailed that mac and cheese.
And we
Yes,
had very limited materials for like a really
we
good
did,
mac and cheese.
and that's how
So I had
you
to
know.
improvise.
No, she's a good cook. But tell
No.
us some of your favorite meals to cook right now.
Okay. Favorite meals to like cook. I love cooking chicken tikka masala. I
Okay.
don't have like 4 of the ingredients I'm supposed to have for it, so it's not the most authentic in the world, but it is yummy.
Okay.
Love to cook that. I also love cooking like this one's not even fun to cook. I just love it. It's like just a veggie bake, like
Okay.
broccoli, cauliflower, carrots. It
Healthy
makes me
queen.
feel really skinny.
Oh, so you think I'm
I think I'm skinny. I douse it in oil and I'm like, it's so skinny.
But she's actually, guys, she's such a good cook. I would say Catherine, Morgan, Mickey, and Rachel were the
Yeah.
best cooks.
But they cooked so much. I was like, there's way too many people
Yeah.
not cooking.
Yeah. No. And like Mickey could throw down though. So it was like okay that was her kitchen because she was like really, she put her foot in it and
She did. And she knew how to cook for the masses.
she
She's
did.
like, I've got this. And it was like timely. Like I cook for 4 people and it takes me an hour and a half.
Oh no, same. I cook for myself and it takes me Everyone knows I'm not a cook. I actually can cook. I just hate to cook. But nevertheless, okay, so you graduated from University of South Carolina. I
Hmm.
think college is where people really start forming identity. And, what did that chapter teach you about yourself?
A lot of independence. I realized the older I was getting, like the more kind of like socially anxious I was getting. And coming to college was like, no one cares who you are or like about you. Like,
Yeah.
if you're walking on campus, it doesn't matter what you look like. And then also, I think just like my classes that I took, I mean, just like opened my worldview. I think that's what like everybody universally, if they go into school with an open mind, they can learn so much about themselves, even just sitting in like a random elective class. Like, it is just to open your mind and to like really propel you forward, even if it's like, even if you don't use your degree after school, it still like propels you just mentally and allows you to critically think a little bit more and really like evaluate yourself and like people around you too. Like, I think education's so important.
Absolutely, 100%. And also, can you tell people and remind them what was your major? Did you have any minors? Let's like give them that too as well.
So my major at South Carolina was public relations, but I didn't switch into public relations until my senior year. So I ended up staying an extra semester and I graduated in 2024. But I was kind of bit bopping around. I went from sociology, considered philosophy, realized that was a very bad idea. Then it's like I actually no. And then I took a lot of political science classes and I thought of majoring in it. But
Okay.
by the time that I realized, like, I was still, I think, a sociology officially, but I had taken classes. Oh, I had taken classes for broadcast journalism. I started like sophomore year taking classes for that because I was like, I think I'll do a major change, but let me take a couple classes first. And so then when it got to senior year, I was like, okay, I'm still a sociology major. This is so bad. I don't know what to do. And I hadn't taken like sociology classes since
Oh,
freshman year,
wow.
probably. Yeah. So I honestly wanted to switch to being a political science major and get my degree in that. But I also realized, girl, you'll be in college for 2 more years.
Forever. Yeah.
Guys, none of the like
Forever.
classes other than my strictly like poli sci classes were going to transfer to that. So I was like, oh crap. So public relations was like a really happy medium for me because you can go into avenues where that knowledge that I got from poli sci could be there. Or if it was something that I ended up being like, you know what, I actually don't want to use poli sci in like the PR world at all, then I won't. But
Yeah.
it like gave me the option. It's such like you can work in so many different companies and brands and this, that, whatever with that degree. It opens
Yeah.
a lot of rooms. So yeah.
Absolutely. Wait, that's so interesting, Catherine, because I feel like so many college students and high schoolers are in that situation, in that position where they kind of don't know where to start, but they're like, okay, I'm supposed to go here, like I'm supposed to go to college, and they go and then they try to figure it out. And I think you're a great example of why I really encourage everybody just to go because you will have the time and the space to figure it out if you need to figure it out. And I think it's so much better to just full send, get that experience, get that worldview. So many people grow up in bubbles, and college, no matter where you go,
Mhm.
pretty much, especially if you're at a big university, no matter what state, you are going to get a world awakening of everything out there because there are so many different types of people at universities. So I think that's really, really interesting that you said that. And I think that really applies and is such great advice to all the teenagers or even like college students now who are out there thinking about college, wondering if it's for them,
Mhm.
wondering what do I do when I get there? Should I go?
Right.
Is it valuable? So I think that's really interesting. And I actually want to talk a little bit more about you were saying how college actually made you, a little more socially anxious. I feel like that's a really interesting take on it because a lot of people don't really talk about that. So can you talk a little bit more about what were some of your coping mechanisms to get through that time period? And also obviously you went on a show Big Brother, which is
Mhm.
like way more if anything, I'm sure you probably had even more social anxiety, or I don't know, maybe you didn't. So can you talk to us a little bit more about that and what was your mindset going into Big Brother with having knowing that you're a little bit more socially anxious, and just how did you handle that in college? And were you a part of Greek life?
I was not a part of Greek life. So that's even like after I graduated from high school and then I knew I was going to USC, I was kind of thinking like the moment that I show up, like everything will be cured. Like I'll be so good to go. I'll make so many friends, like this, that, whatever. And that didn't happen. I didn't just magically like stop being anxious because I moved onto campus and like a new space and all of this stuff. There definitely was like some relief because I was so happy to have my own space. And so
Yeah.
that gave me like some sort of freedom within my mind. But I honestly, I would say probably almost my whole like freshman year, I was like really just struggling. Like the idea of walking to class genuinely was like, I don't know if I could do that. Like, I don't know if I want anybody to see me right now. I don't know if I want to like talk in front of my peers. And the biggest thing for me that helped me during that time was I had been always pretty good at just kind of like masking my feelings. And I was like, I had been told previously, and then I just started reminding myself of it too, that I did a really good job of like presenting myself in a way that I didn't seem nervous or anxious, but actually on the inside, I was like, I'm gonna start crying. I'm so like anxious right now, and I don't want to be here. But like, I made sure to like still speak very confidently and have control over that. And learn how to like kind of veer conversations in a way that I'm still going to speak kind of eloquently and I don't have to worry about, oh, I might stutter, I might do this, that, whatever. And eventually it just kind of became like habit. And I was like, I actually do feel comfortable in these spaces now because fake it till you make it. And
Absolutely.
I genuinely think that's what helped me so much. And I would also just like get into the mindset if like whenever I had like presentations and this, that, whatever, the whole day before I'd be like, it doesn't matter. Nothing about this matters. Like at the end of
Yeah.
the day, like I have the information that I need to, say and present and do that, whatever. And it's clear that I know what I'm talking about. And even if I don't present it well, I'm going to be graded on the fact that I have the information and I did the work, really. It's not about how good I am at speaking. And I would tell myself that for like a day straight. And then the next day I'd wake up and be like, nothing matters. I've got this. And
Yeah.
I was able to like do that. But it was just a lot of talking to myself, honestly. And then going into the house, I mean, I haven't completely abandoned some of my like anxiousness, especially in social settings. I was
Yeah.
dripping sweat, so nervous. Like down my arms. I was so scared. I remember like at one point, like somehow I found myself alone on move-in day and I was like, oh my God, what's happening? And so I was just
No.
like wandering.
Day. No, it was a crazy day. I would say I'm like not a socially anxious person actually at all. But even I was like, okay, this is like kind of crazy. We were all coming in. It was like one after the other, and it was like
Wow.
us, and it was like boom, we're in this bubble. Boom, the accomplice. Boom. It was so much happening that day. So I can't even imagine like
And
how
we woke
you
up at 4 in the morning.
4 in the morning, and we didn't even start filming. I don't think till 10. I don't even
Yeah.
think we walked into the house till 10. So it was a very
It was
long, draining morning. But yeah, I think that's really interesting though, because I would say, even for myself, I think that's how I became confident. Faking it till I make it, telling myself like I belong here, especially like going to law school, being that like I'm obviously a diverse person of color and I'm walking into an environment where quite literally Georgetown actually made disclaimer, Georgetown's really, really great about diversity. But
Mhm.
even in being one of the top schools like that actually has like Harvard, Georgetown, and maybe Stanford are like the top schools
Yeah.
that have diversity, it's still a blimp. It's still a blimp
Yeah.
in time. And I had to just tell myself, like, I belong here. Like, I had a
Yeah.
little bit
Like you
of
deserve and earn to be in that space.
absolutely. And so I
Yeah.
think that's really interesting that Catherine's saying this, you guys, because this is so true and applies to various different things of life. Like social anxiety, non-social anxiety, being in a corporate America, being in rooms that maybe you don't feel like you belong in, or, getting opportunities that maybe you didn't even think you would get. I had so many people tell me, and this has nothing to do with race, it was just the fact Georgetown's a really competitive school. And I had so many people
Mhm.
tell me, like, good luck, girl. Like, you're probably not going to get in, like, it's probably not going to happen
Yeah.
for you. And I had to tell myself, you know what? No matter what, if I get in or don't get in, you have to put yourself out there for opportunities. And I think this is so true even for Big Brother. I know some of you are probably going through maybe wanting to be casted in the casting process and wondering what you should do. You have to just go for it. You can't be afraid of
Mhm.
rejection. You can't be afraid of what people will think about you. And this applies to a lot of what Katherine said, because social anxiety is sometimes like, what are people thinking? And you put thoughts in your mind about what people think of you that aren't even true and that aren't there, but it's the anxiety speaking. And so I think that is just a lesson for everyone. You have to just, one, put yourself out there for opportunities, situations, presentations, whatever, uncomfortable situations, whatever it may be, because nothing beats a failure but a trier. Okay. If
Mhm.
you try and you just go for it and you just tell yourself, this is going to happen for me, all good things are going to come to me, everything's going to be okay, you'll see so many results just from that. And
Mhm.
so, what version, you actually talked a little bit about how the version of you changed in college. What do you mean by that? Can you tell us a little bit more about that? I know on the show, actually, in your intro, you spoke about how you're a feminist and you have these different beliefs. So where did those beliefs come from? Did that come from college? And just talk a little bit more about what changed between college and your hometown.
I would honestly say, like, my mom instilled that in me. She was a single mom, like, while I was growing up. She was really just my example for quite literally everything. And so a lot of her beliefs were just like automatically instilled within me. And thankfully, I still agree with them. I think that she was an extremely like wonderful person, and I like she believed in everything that I do. And so, yeah, like I already had that foundation there from her. And even the thought, like, I know I got some flack for the feminist thing, which is interesting to think about because, but, um, yeah. So, but,
For starters, yeah, I'll just interject here really quick. Like, I think no matter what you do in these positions, somebody's gonna, no matter what stance you take, somebody is going to not be comfortable with that. And so I actually loved that you just owned who you were. And I think maybe you only got flack because of who you were connected to in the house. And we could talk about a little bit about that more later. But I just want to say, like, I love people who are just outwardly themselves and outwardly stand with the beliefs they believe in, because I'm one of those people that's like, stand for nothing, fall for everything. Like, if you don't have a stance or strong opinions on things that matter, whatever that means to you, right? Like, feminist, non-feminist, I think that we should be loud and proud about what we believe in, because I really believe that God gave us all a voice for a reason. And so I just want to say, I actually love that you were talking about that, but yeah.
yeah. I mean, we're living when we're in that situation. I mean, essentially, it's a simulation. It's not the real world, and there are certain parts of like your personality that do shine through. But for the most part, I mean, I didn't feel like I acted like myself almost the entire time that I was in the house, and I was a lot quieter, and I wasn't, doing my normal thing where I'm like I'm normally kind of the loudest person in a room, and I was like, I can't be doing that. Like, I need to be calm, be subtle, this, that, whatever. And I feel like that kind of applied to that too. It was just, you know, something, I don't think it's something that you can, unless you make it part of your strategy, that you can apply to your strategy, being like a feminist. And my like beliefs in equity on a socio political economic scale aren't really applicable to basically a game show. Like, I don't know. They're not quite as like applicable.
Yes.
Um
Yeah.
love everyone though. But yeah, anyways, so yeah, I got the majority of those beliefs from my mom. And then coming to school, honestly, I don't know if it felt as much like, I think I felt like even more kind of surrounded by like opposing opinions, honestly. Until honestly I was taking like political science classes. They just opened my eyes so much, and it was because it was all classes, they weren't focused around beliefs at all, actually, and the discussions in the class, unless somebody kind of got off base, weren't supposed to really be focused on beliefs. It was on like political theory and like why these things exist and what happened for it, and then here's our policies that are in place and why they're in place, not because of beliefs, you know? And so
Yeah.
it allowed me to even then like gain more opinions on my own that you would think like, oh, like the class itself influenced it, but no, the class influenced me to think
Mm.
and really thought about like, the most random things like all the way to like open markets and this, that, whatever. I like that had never crossed my mind before.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I just like fully got a little bit more educated on everything. And it wasn't that I was trying to find which one I more agreed with. It was like I really thought like the reasons behind this, what makes the most sense, like to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's really interesting. And I guess piggybacking off of that, what would you tell college Catherine now?
Oh my gosh, so much. I would tell her probably to stress out a little bit less. She's very stressed about like her career,
Mm.
and like what she was gonna do. And I would say honestly too, just to like advice I would give her would just like focus more internally. I felt like there it wasn't until later, I would say probably like my junior and senior year, but freshman and sophomore year me were just very different, I feel like.
Yeah.
And just kind of like trying to like find your place in the world, you're out on your own. And I know that sounds so cliche, but it was so true for me.
Mhm.
And really just like separate yourself from what you know.
Yeah.
Like and this isn't beliefs. It's, I mean, just like habitual things that you do and people that you are so used to being around. Like, separate yourself. Like, really get like a new experience.
Absolutely. Yeah, I actually completely agree. I feel like that was one of the reasons for me when people ask, like, oh, why did you decide to go to LMU? Because I went to college in LA, but I'm from Chicago suburbs. For me, it was about I love my high school friends, but I know if I go to a school that's like, a couple hours away that everybody's going to, you're gonna, let's just be real, you're gonna want to hang out with all of your high school friends. You're
Yeah.
not to grow as much as you need to. And sorry for anyone who did go to high school and stuff with their high school friends. I love that for you. Listen, like, I think it's great to have a core group of people that are important to you, who care about you, who you know very well. I think that's great. But for me, I also encourage and challenge people to step out of your comfort zone, like Catherine just said. I think college is such a place that you can grow and learn and expand so much, not just your beliefs, but like world beliefs, and understand how different people operate, how to interact with different people. I think it also helps you, honestly, when you push yourself out of your comfort zone, it's only going to help you post college, because post
Mm-hmm.
college rips off that band aid. Okay. When you start a new job, start a new career, you're with all new people for the most part, mostly. And you got to be able to know how to, one, work a room, communicate with people, understand what healthy communication looks like. And that can apply to not even corporate America or jobs or whatever, you decide to do, whatever path, but also relationships, people you choose to
Yeah.
date, people you become new friends with, because at every stage of your life, you're going to gain new friends and new people. That's just how life works. Sometimes people are meant to be in your life for a period, a season, or it's forever.
Mhm.
That's just life. And so I absolutely agree 100% with everything Catherine said, and can relate to that so much, because that's so true. And you spoke a little bit about your mom. I want to transition into something deeper. If share only what you're comfortable with sharing, but
Mhm.
since you brought her up, I'd love to just touch on that a little bit, because you have spoken publicly about losing your mom, and I know there are viewers watching who are navigating grief themselves. One of my best friends in life, she actually lost her sister, I believe it's been like 2 years, and she actually found her, and so it was extremely traumatizing. So I think there are a lot of people out there who could learn something from you. So is it okay if we talk about just like, how did that shape you? How did losing your mom maybe change your perspective on life and relationships? And what helped you cope early on, long term, whatever that means to you, however you want to answer?
Yeah. I would say honestly, how it changed me is it just like significantly put like life in perspective for me. I'd had family members pass before. She wasn't the first family member I had passed, but like a mom is a mom.
Yeah,
And her passing just significantly put in perspective for me like how fragile everything is, and it like actually hit me. It was something I was aware of, and I'd
yeah,
heard, but it like actually hit me for that, and like how important it is to like spend time with the people that you love.
yeah,
And also that like not in a like pessimistic, like cynical way, but the
Yeah.
whole like nothing really matters thing, not like nihilistic either, but like
Yeah.
it's kind of like that is there's there's not like a scale of what's the hardest things to go through, but it's definitely a very difficult thing to go through. And it put
Yeah.
in perspective for me of I don't need to freak out and feel like the world is ending over, little
Little
situations and
things.
this, that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like that I lived through that and I got through that and I'm still here and I still have love in my heart and I'm still a happy person. I'm not a negative person. I still enjoy being around people. Like all of these things like are things that I'm still able to do. And part of that is because like my mom taught me how
Yeah.
to be happy and how to find joy in different things and she gave me that foundation. So part of coping with that and coping with grief is you know um really I think remembrance, and I think I've seen this somewhere, this isn't an original, but like remembrance is such a beautiful part of grief.
Yeah.
And so many little things, I think I said this in the house a couple times too, but I like to say out loud when something reminds me of her, like my mom used to do that or my mom did that, or oh my god, my mom loved those, like whatever
Yeah.
it is. And it's nice to share that piece with her, and it's not a conversation, it's not anything like that. I'm just like, when I think of when something reminds me of my best friend, I'm like, oh my god, my best friend loves that. So
Yeah.
I'm going to do the same with my mom still. Like I'm going to bring her into those conversations and spaces and stuff, because I get to actively remember all of these things about her. And additionally, I think I put it in my eulogy, but it was just that all of my favorite things are my favorite because she introduced them to me.
Yeah.
And
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna
so
cry. I'm an empath. She knows this because we talked
I
about her mom.
know.
I was literally like crying with her.
Ashley's just like looking at you and she's just tears streaming down her eyes.
Like,
Like, it's okay. It's okay.
going.
But it's like a sweet thing and it's beautiful that like my favorite things in the world are my favorite because she taught me to love them
Yeah.
and introduced them to me from a young age, and I get to remember her every time I'm having fun and loving my life. I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know if I would love this if it weren't for her. So
Yeah.
I get to like say a little thank you to her for that too. So I think that's helped me cope in like tremendous ways, is just like it's good to actively remember her and think about her all the time. Like do it. Like it's a happy thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And me and Catherine and I actually talked about this a lot because I think everybody knows, we actually were not close. But towards the end,
We
we started to get to know each other a lot more.
yeah.
And part of talking about that was like just diving deeper with Catherine. Like she actually is such a multi-layered, multifaceted person. And I wish we got to see that more in the show because she is that girl. Just smart. Okay, Catherine is very smart. She's very intelligent. I remember I told Kelly, I was like, I think Catherine's a lawyer or like a law student. I thought you were a law student because you knew so many things about law, but totally makes sense given that you had a political science and you studied all these sociology and all these different things in college. But yeah, one thing that really struck me about Catherine was just how well she is with her emotions and coping and just how strong of a woman she is. She's been through
Yeah.
so much. And some of you probably saw this on live feeds because she was very open, talking, especially towards the end, talking a little bit more to people. I think it was like me, you, and Lauren were talking for a minute in the bathroom, but just all the things you've been through in your life. And you're such a strong girl going through that. And I mean, you just actually said it a little bit how like this wasn't your first time dealing with grief. And you talked about that on the show. And I just think, yeah, you're just so brave and you're so strong. And I couldn't imagine being in your position. I truly can't. And it's like interacting with people like you or like some of my friends who tell them, I'm like, okay, I really need to value my family. I always have value my family, by the way. But I think sometimes when we become adults, we get into the swing of life and we're like, I don't want to talk to my mom every day. Like I don't want to, you know what I mean? You're like, stop bothering me. Like, but then you have these people that come into your life and it makes you realize, and I think you talked about this a little bit too, like how precious life is.
Mhm.
And it makes you value certain things even more. Like, yes, you already have value for your friends and your family, of course. Any normal human with emotions and feelings does.
Right.
When these things happen, it makes you sit back and reflect, like, what really matters in life? Like, what are the things I need to prioritize even more? Because you just never know. And I think we're even seeing it with some of our favorite celebrities, or even just, Eric Dane passing,
I
and
know.
he passed within what, a year and a half of having Alzheimer's, and or not Alzheimer's, ALS.
ALS.
We got to see him though kind of like grow up on TV. I mean, for most of us who watched Grey's Anatomy or even like
Yep.
Euphoria, these larger than life characters who you feel like they're infallible, and and they're not. They're just like us. They're humans just like us, and it just shows us really like how fragile life is. And obviously we love our castmate Mickey, and even that happening just shows you like you just never know when. And so
No.
you gotta love hard. I love that you said you still have so much love in your heart, and you're still as happy as you can be, right? Like, obviously it'd be ridiculous for any of us to think that you're not forever changed. Like,
Right.
of course you're forever changed, but you have to be able to find joy within you and in the
Mhm.
world while you're here, because I'm sure your mom, or if you're going through grief out there, guys, and you're watching this, they will want you to be happy, and they will want you to live out your life as special as it can be, until you see them again, because I really do believe we're all going to be reunited with those people that we've lost again. um,
Mhm.
so yeah, I think that's so special. You literally made me cry. I was literally like tearing up. I am such an empath. But
I know.
last, we're gonna wrap this up and enter the Big Brother world. But the last thing, I guess, what does strength look like for you on hard days? Not just strong moments, because obviously it'd be ridiculous of anybody to think that you don't go through ups and downs. There's so many ebbs and flows with grief. And for anybody, I guess, for any viewers out there watching, what would you tell them? I think people see strength and assume healing is finished, but grief
Right.
evolves. And what does strength look like for you on hard days? What are some of the things you do, that help you?
I mean, on like hard days when I'm like dealing, because obviously, yes, like grief ebbs and it flows, and some days are harder than others, and sometimes it's random, and you're like,
Yeah.
there's no reason to have brought this on. Like, why does it suddenly feel so fresh again? And part of it, of course, is like mentality. And I tell myself, if I'm feeling things stronger that day about everything, then maybe there's something going on in like the universe or whatever you believe in that is like, you need to think about her today. You need to process things today. Like, there needs to be a reflection with that. And I like tell myself like that was meant to be. Like, that was what my day was supposed to be. And if the only thing that I feel like doing that day is just sitting on the couch and watching movies and then occasionally pausing the movie just to like cry for a second or about my own stuff and then go back to like kind of distracting myself, then that's what I'll do. And there's nothing wrong with that. But then it's also like, who knows that, maybe my mom in a way and somewhere is thinking about me a little bit more, and I'm just feeling that. And I don't know how things work, and I don't have a lot of fear. I don't have strong beliefs with my own like opinions on what happens to people after death and stuff, but like I do feel like her presence still can like affect me. And even if it's not just that, even if it's just like an imprint on my heart and my soul, that her leaving like earthly existence, like that still maybe just is like more activated some days, and I'm just more aware of her and other things. And maybe it's just like a complete sensitivity to things. It's just like I'll just try to kind of conceptualize it as much as I can and be like, it's so good that I can have such strong feelings, and that is what makes human beings so unique of creatures, is how much they can think and how powerful those thoughts can be. And genuinely, like, it, it's just a beautiful thing to be able to grieve. And I'll be crying and I'm like, but how great is it that like I loved her so much that I will cry random days for the rest of my life because I loved her that much. And like, thank God that I have that
Yeah.
love, and that love is still there. And it's nice to remind myself of that. I think so. Yeah, mainly it's mentality. It's things that I tell myself, and I truly do believe them, but I remind myself of them.
Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful, Catherine. That's so beautiful. I know. And guys, don't worry, we are going to get into Big Brother. But I just wanted you guys to get to know Catherine a little bit more because I don't think the cameras quite captured. The cameras can't capture, obviously, all of our
Everything.
personalities. They can't capture everything. It's a 1 hour show. We love production, but there's no way. It's like traders, you know, and when there's 20-something people in the house in the beginning, you know, for us, 16 or 17, you can't capture everybody's story and encapsulate everything that they are as humans. So I just wanted to take the time to really give Catherine the platform to just share like who she is because she's such a multifaceted person and she's been through so much in her life, but she's been able to overcome it. And I think I'm sure you're an inspiration to so many fans out there who watch this and just see, you know, the depth and the evolution of Catherine and who you're becoming because that's just life one. Okay, I think
Right.
every time when you look at someone's social media, mine included, it's a highlight reel, right? Social media is a highlight
Hmm.
reel showing the best moments of your life and the things that you're going through. And yes, you have some influencers now who are modern and try to, you know, show a little bit more about bad things that are happening or you know breakups or a death etc but that's just not realistic for how most people operate on social
Yeah.
media highlight reel just wanted to bring more humanization to us because I think a lot of people see us as obviously these characters on a TV show but
Yeah. It's like we're real. I promise.
we're real. We go through things too. So yeah, I just wanted to take the segment for you guys to get to know her a little bit more. But okay, we are gonna dive more into Big Brother. Okay, let's talk about those first moments. When you walked into the Big Brother house, what was your actual strategy coming in? Were you trying to be a social player? Were you trying to lay low, win the competitions, or were you on observation mode? What was your strategy? Tell us a little bit about that.
So competition wise, I was like, I don't have experience with this. I've been to a trampoline park before. And other than that, like, I don't know how I'm going to perform on these, like, whole elaborate, like, sets that these people build and this, that, whatever. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do on that. So I cannot rely at all on being like, maybe I'll be good at comps, maybe not. But yeah, I didn't know how comps would work out. And then socially, I had a journal in sequester and I was writing in it and I was trying to think through, like, what am I going to do? And I just kept going back to this, writing the same sentence in the journal repeatedly, which was like, it genuinely just depends on who's there. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do until I see the people that are there. And
Yeah.
so, day one, I was like, all I want to do is talk to these people, figure out who they are, get some sort of a read on them. And then throughout the time that I'm there, like, I'm sure what I want to do is going to evolve. The only thing that I knew for sure was if anything got on my nerves, then I should keep my mouth shut. I was like, other than that, because I like even my roommate, like one little thing, and I'm like, why did you do that? Like, you know what I mean? And I was like, in an environment like that, like people are gonna think that me just like bluntly, like I'm a very blunt person. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah. No, me too. And I
Yeah,
struggle with not being not blunt.
me too. I really struggle.
I told Catherine, do we have a problem?
I was
Like,
like,
please.
I can't
We'll
even.
get into Showergate later, but I feel you on that, the bluntness thing, because I remember
Yeah,
telling myself I was not going to do that. And then, of course,
you presented it very well. You presented it very well. It was still blunt, but then but same, like with my head going on in that time, like typically I would have been like, you want to hear what these people were saying? And then I was like, Catherine, you cannot do that. So I'm standing there and I'm like, I want to sell everyone out right now. It's
yeah.
like, all I want to do is this. And I couldn't. And it was
No.
stressing me out. But no, yeah, that was like, like mind over matter. I was like, Catherine, literally, like you cannot talk much during this interaction. Like, don't talk. And I feel like that's kind of how I felt for like a lot of the time in the house. At least like my first like 3 weeks, as I was having conversations, but like trying to like hide kind of aspects of my personality was difficult, and it was constantly on my mind, and just like nodding along to people was very hard for me. But I was like, I can't like, I interrupt people all the time. Like, Like, I interrupt people. I never let someone finish a sentence. I always have something to add and to say. I'm just like, let's go back and forth.
Wait, I have to add though, I will say you were just like me in the sense where I don't think we stuck day 1 and 2. I don't think we stuck to our strategies because I remember like day 1. Okay, guys, you guys didn't get to see live feeds, but actually, like me, Catherine, and Lauren, day 1 were actually like a little like we were kind of like walking around the house like together or whatever, and we were in the same room. But you told me something so funny. You were like, I think it was Amy or Rachel. I can't remember which one, but you were like, I don't trust it. I don't trust it. And I was like, dang, day 1, she's saying this. Okay, but I remember I liked that actually. I liked that actually about you because I was like, oh, it made me feel like you trusted me because I was like, oh, she's telling me. So it actually like kind of worked. Like, even though that was just you probably like in a moment where I said to you, like, do we have a problem? Like, it's like we probably shouldn't have said that, but we did. But it actually like built a little bit of trust with me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, it gives more insight to the person than actually like consequence,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Sorry, but keep going. I interjected there.
No, you're so good. Like, I completely agree. Like, day 1 was like so hard to navigate because I was like, I don't know what to say and not to say yet because I don't know these people.
Yeah.
And then I felt like probably because week 1 was 10 days. So I'd probably say by like end of week 1, maybe end of week 2, that I felt like, okay, I kind of feel like I've decided that I'm just going to be nodding along for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, which partly like wasn't true either because I would say that, but then with Jimmy and Lauren, I was being like really open about with.
Yeah.
And Jimmy even pulled me aside one day and he was like, the house is switching their vote. Adrian's going home. You need to switch yours. And I literally said, no, I don't get why you think that I'm just going to do whatever you told me to do. And then I went behind his back and went to Zach and Vince, who he was saying switch their vote. And I was like, why would you tell Jimmy that? Why would you tell Jimmy that you're switching your vote when you told me that you were going to keep Adrian here? None of that showed, wasn't on live feeds, nothing. But that was like the only time that I was confrontational. But the good thing is Zach did not care about anything that I did in the house. So he didn't care to share that. And then Vince wanted to keep it on the DL because after he sent Adrian home, he like pulled me aside and we talked for like an hour and he was like crying and he was like, I'm so sorry I lied to you. And I was like, F you for that. Like, I was so mad at him for lying to me. And like, none of that showed either. We were in the gym for like an hour. And I was like, you literally lied to me. If you hadn't done it, you know that. Why would you trust Jimmy of all people? He pulled you aside for 10 minutes and you switched everything that you told me. Like, I was going.
Stop. Wait, I actually didn't know any of this. Okay, wait. Okay, this is actually going to change gears then because I'm actually curious and I think fans will be curious to know. Okay, so what actually went down that week? Who were you aligned with at that point in the game? And where did you think the votes were going to go? And who did you think was going to vote a certain way? Because actually, from my perspective, I always knew that Will was staying because there was a mini alliance that was kind of like being formed, behind the scenes with me, Zach, Morgan, Mickey, Will. Jimmy was kind of like the 7th kind of person, and then like Vince was in there. So like from my perspective, I thought Will was 100% staying the whole time. It actually wasn't until after that week that I realized, it wasn't actually until the vote that I realized that there was some tomfoolery going on. And the only reason that I felt that there was tomfoolery even going on was because during the vote, Ava was sitting next to me and I saw Zach glare at Ava and kind of be like looking to kind of see what she was going to do, which I thought was so strange. I was like, what is going on here? And like I said, I thought Will was for sure staying 100% because of kind of that alliance that was forming kind of like behind the scenes on the side. It wasn't necessarily like a main alliance, but it was definitely like something that was brewing, kind of merging the two because obviously Morgan had such a strong relationship with Zach and Vince, and Vince was starting to form a relationship with Will, and we all know Will and Zach, like they were, getting really close. And so I remember seeing Zach glare at Ava and I was like, what's going on? And then that made me have a That's So Raven moment where I was rewinding to a conversation I had with Zach a few days before where he was asking me, because disclaimer, you guys, I don't know if America saw it, but I'm sure live feed saw it. Will wanted to go home at one point. He was kind of gave up on the game. He missed his wife. And so Will had told me and Zach and Mickey that he was going to he was like, vote me out. I don't want to stay in the game. Vote me out. But
Yeah.
then the next day, he completely changed his mind.
I remember that.
I want to stay. I want to stay. And so when I saw Zach glaring at Ava, it made me rewind to a moment I had with Zach maybe a day or two before. And he was trying to get a feel for me where he was like, I mean, Will, don't you feel like it's weird? Like he wants to go home, like, and he just changed his mind. Like, don't you think that that's strange? Like, do you think he actually wants to be here? And I was like, I'm thinking, why are you asking me that when you already know that he said he wants to, like, what's the point of that? You know what I'm saying? If you're saying your team will and you want to keep him, why are we even having this conversation? So I thought that was weird. And then I heard that Zach told Morgan that Will wanted to leave. And Will wanted it very private. So I was like, okay, Zach's a little bit of a snake.
And I heard about it too.
So that's why I'm like, okay, it's getting all around the house because of Zach. So I was like, I didn't trust Zach at that point. So then when I saw him glaring at Ava, it was all making sense to me.
Yeah.
There was something larger going on behind the scenes, and this man was playing both sides to try to, hustle the game, which is the game. I don't blame him, but I didn't realize it until that moment. So talk to us a little bit more about who are the numbers that you thought were going to keep Adrian safe. And who are the people you were aligned with at that time?
So I was obviously aligned with like Riley and Lauren.
Yes.
Vince and I had like a quiet agreement, which he had with like pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
And I knew that I wasn't like one of his like close people at the time, but that was the time that we were like still pulling each other for like talks privately at that time period. And we also did for a little bit after that vote, and then it got to a point that I was just like did not talk to him much anymore in the house because I was like, this actually is not like mutually beneficial in any way. But it was gonna be me, Kelly, obviously, Riley, Keanu, Zach, Vince, maybe one more. I can't remember everyone that was there right then.
Thought Jimmy was the one who was going to vote to keep.
Oh, and Jimmy was a maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I presented it to Zach with the way of like, Lauren is going to be so distraught if Adrian goes home on her HOH because she did not want that. I don't know why she put him up, but you need to like help us out, blah, 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 blah. And then I had not a super long I didn't have a very long conversation with Zach about it, but we did go back and forth. And you know that the conversations that genuinely could have just been 5 minutes were like an hour in that house because you're kind of like looking at each other and you're like, maybe like if you're not super trusting of each other. So that was how that one was. And then me and Riley both talked to Vince separately, and we're just being like presenting him with like why it maybe would make more sense for him, like this, that, whatever, that people probably wouldn't think it was too weird because like he didn't appear too close to either Adrian or Will at the time. So wouldn't seem like a betrayal of any sort. It would just seem like your own vote, this, that, whatever. And then the vote happened. But right before it, I think I pulled Vince again and I was like, you know that you need to do this. And then I brought up the fact that Jimmy had pulled me aside and had said, like, you need to switch your vote because me, Zach, and Vince aren't going to do it anymore.
Yeah, the votes aren't going there.
And I was like, oh, that's so crazy because like I don't want to be a follower. So then I pulled Vince and I was like, I'm not changing my vote. And he was like, well, I thought you would. And I was like, what would make you think that, Jimmy? Jimmy telling you that I'm going to switch my vote is what would make you think that, and not me straight up telling you to your face, this is exactly how I'm going to vote. I was like, you do not need to switch your vote. If you want to be like, I had my little moment that like a lot of people say that they had with Vince. That was like, do it. And he didn't do it. And so then afterwards, he knew I was pissed. Like, I was fuming, steaming. And he, like, pulled me aside. He was like, I've been really scared to talk to you. And I was like, yeah, because you lied.
Like, eyes.
I was like, oh. But yeah.
That's crazy. So I didn't know any of that behind the scenes. I knew that you were going to vote to keep Adrian at that point
Yeah.
because you and I don't think I thought you and Kelly were close, but I definitely knew Riley and Adrian. Like Riley and Will, you know what I'm saying? It just made sense.
Yeah.
But I never knew until that moment when they were staring that Zach and Vinny were ever gonna go that way because behind, to our side, to the other side, because as everyone knows,
yeah.
It just seemed like that was like for sure what they were doing. So that was a huge shock to me. And later, basically, I was able to use that information to keep myself safe, actually, to get off the block. I actually didn't know I was going to go on the block, potentially on Ava's HOH. That was like news to me.
Were you?
Later. Yeah. Yeah.
On Ava's?
Yes, because she was mad.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either until Mickey told me week 7 when Mickey was kind of on the outs. She was telling me that, I guess, to like pull me back in, and she told me that Ava was considering putting me up as an original nomination.
Oh.
She was considering it because she was upset that long story short, I don't want to make this long, but long story short, I had used this information that we're talking about right now. I used this during Mickey's, like right after Mickey's HOH was about to end, because me and Mickey were kind of like this, because I was thinking it was dumb for Jimmy to go up, quite frankly. And listen,
right,
it was for her game. It was the downfall. It was the beginning of the end for her game, because she was up here, and after that HOH and Jimmy going home and all of that shenanigans, that was kind of what when there's not a huge target, you then become a target. You know what I'm saying? When you're in power and you're powerful, you become a target. And so I wanted Jimmy to stay, not because we were close. Love you, Jimmy, but Jimmy knows I didn't like him that much in the house. After I still love Jimmy. But in the house, I didn't like Jimmy that much. I wasn't very fond of him. But I saw the strategy of keeping him for one more week, because I'm like, people are going to continue to target him. So let them target him, and then I'm going to just be under the radar a little bit more. And I felt like Jimmy wasn't going to go for me after that point. At that point, obviously there was times before he was going to, but it didn't make sense at that point for him to go for me. Vince and Zach were much obvious, you know what I mean, like targets for him. So when I realized that me and Mickey were kind of like, we were not to get in sync anymore, I used information about watching that vote, because I went to Ava and basically used reverse psychology. I basically told her, I know what happened. Like, why were they trying to convince you? And then she spilled the beans and was like, Zach was trying to convince me to flip the vote. And like, I somehow like somewhat agreed to it, but like, I was never going to do it. I was never going to do it. I was never going to go as well. So then I used that information then to go tell Mickey. And
that made so much sense.
Yeah. And so that's Mickey closer again, even though that week we were like at odds, obviously, because she was upset that which is rightfully so, that I wasn't like fully supporting her decision.
Yeah.
And so because of that, Mickey, she told Ava. She told Ava that I did that, basically, that I knew that. And so Ava didn't trust me anymore.
Oh, okay. And she was like, oh, that was...
Yeah. And so then, because Ava felt that she got played, because I guess she found out that I didn't actually know.
Yeah. What was going on?
To see what she would say, not knowing it was this elaborate plan at that time. I didn't know.
Yeah.
So basically, Ava was going to put me up. I never knew this, didn't know this until week 7. Like, she was going to put me up, and Mickey convinced her not to. And she threw out the name Zach.
Oh.
It was always going up, but she threw out the name Zach, and then Will supported Zach going up, obviously, because Will didn't want me to go up. And so that's how it ended up being Zach, Vince, and Keanu.
Yeah.
And so that's interesting that all of that happened, because that actually ended up saving my game later.
Worked out. Yeah.
I sure would have gone, unless I won. What was the veto that week? I don't remember, but I wouldn't have
the week Adrian went home?
No, the week Ava was that
HOH.
what you won? That was the veto you won.
That was my veto, yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I would not have won that veto. So I would have most likely gone home. Yeah. Unless I was next to Keanu. then he would have gone. But yeah,
and he didn't win veto, so.
But he didn't win veto, so yeah. Anyway, it's just funny how these things happen and like it's meant to be. But actually, you know what? Let's like get into that because that was a huge moment for you when you won your first veto. What was going through your head emotionally in that moment? Because that was your first veto competition, I believe, and you won.
First and only.
First and only, but you know it's okay. I'm a one veto wonder too. We're both veto wonders. What were you?
100% veto wins.
Yeah, veto wins. And you and Vinny actually, you guys were having some side conversations. What maybe that tell the viewers, like, was there anything the edit didn't really show or that you can talk about, like that actually happened? Because I couldn't hear anything on the sidelines. I just saw it happening.
Well, yeah. Basically, what he was saying was what was shown in the edit. He was saying that. But I don't know if you remember, but it was a couple minutes. It was not 20 seconds of like this monologue. Like it was actual minutes long. And I literally was standing there like silent. And then a couple times I was like, Vince, I don't know. And I kept saying like, I don't know. Because mind you, we had to wait for a cue to say like, what do you want to do? Are you going to take a power or whatever? Like say what you're going to do. So I had to wait for my cue, my prompt, to be able to answer it. So they let Vince go on and on and on. And I'm just like saying like, I don't know. Waiting for them to be like, Katherine, because I knew going into it, I was like, if I end up winning this, I want to win it. Like I knew that. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't like, I'm not going to flip out. I was like, I'm going to make sure not to flip out. Like, I'm not even on the block, so I can't be like, heck yeah, because that makes it seem like I have some nefarious plan going on, like, and I have to win veto. And I was like, no, I need to be like super calm, cool, collected about this. But also like listening to that like monologue of like, don't take this power of veto from me equals like.
What was he saying? Was he just repeating that over and over again? Or was he
saying basically, he was like, yeah, just saying like I've applied for 10 years, like this is my dream, you know this is my dream, Katherine, like I would literally do anything. I swear I can like offer you protection if you protect me, like let me keep this, take the money, blah blah blah, blah. Like kept going and going and going. Which proved not to be true because Lauren used to veto on him and he sent her home.
Right.
So, I know that's not gonna happen.
That he did.
That he did. So I was like, no. But I literally was like, God, this is so. I didn't even do it. Like, I literally wasn't even trying to like act. I was just like, okay, so I'm gonna take the veto. Now that we're done with that.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, hand it over. Like, I was happy, but I was also like, I mean, I'm not at threat right now.
Yeah, you weren't.
Yeah. And I was also just like, I really needed to win it. That was like the big thing is the night before I was crying outside because I felt like such a failure with all of the competitions. I was like, I don't get why I suck. I was crying on the couch.
You were crying on the couch. I didn't know you were crying on the couch, Katherine.
Well, yeah. Well, I cry really subtly. Unless I'm like, aha! Okay. But like other than that, like it's literally, I mean, it just shows up in my eyeball. And that's kind of it. But no, I was crying on the couch and I was like, I don't understand why I'm so bad at everything. I can't win an HOH comp. I was like, I haven't been able to play in a single veto, so I don't even have that experience. And it's like, even if you're losing competitions, it helps, at least to me, deal with like the stress of the competition if you play in enough. Like you're like, I'm used to going in to this format and wanting to win. But at that point, there was the first HOH that I didn't compete in. There was the balance beam one that I didn't get a turn on. And there was something else. Oh, and then the black box, I was like, well, I was just, groping walls. So I was like, out of every competition that we've had so far, like I've competed in 5 and I haven't done well. And I've also only gotten 5 chances to like really feel like that kind of pressure. And that sucks. I was like, I'm so mad. So yeah, I just wanted to become more acclimated to the stress of it, and I wasn't able to. So that was part of the stress with that, and led me to like I was so upset. I was like, I haven't been able to play the comps, and I also haven't been able to win any of the comps I've played. So I like really needed that mentally. But also I was like, okay, great, I won. I'm not that happy, guys.
Yeah, I was like, okay, she's like gunning for it. I didn't realize it at first, and then I was like, oh, she's gunning for it. And so I was kind of curious if you thought maybe like you were in danger or if you just wanted to win. So that's interesting to hear. It was just you just wanted to prove that to yourself.
Yeah. I just needed it mentally,
Okay.
like really
And
bad.
and was
But I was trying not to do it like too bad. And then the like last, there was a tiebreaker that they didn't show, obviously. I don't think in the edit, but like
oh.
during the tiebreaker, I was like, maybe Ava should just have this. And then I was like, no, I'm going to try to roll it the best I can. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to roll it off the back.
Yeah, yeah, which was good that I think you did that because, yeah, I think that week played out beautifully. Sorry, Zach, but like I actually didn't want him to go home over Vince at the beginning of the week. It wasn't until the end of the week that after having so many talks that I realized Zach was the more dangerous
Same.
player than Vince. But in the beginning of the week, I did want to keep Zach
Me
actually.
too. Mine was
But
weird. I went back and forth a lot mentally, and then towards the end, I was like, no, I need to stick with this one answer, which will be Zach. Like, I just need to stick with that.
what were your reasons for wanting to keep Zach initially over Vinny, being that you and Vinny, like you said, were kind of somewhat aligned before that?
Honestly, I just felt like Zach was like an easier choice to keep around. So I at first like didn't see him that way, and I was kind of confused on what he was doing because I didn't
Yeah,
see connections beyond Morgan and Mickey and then kind of Lauren. And
yeah,
like really like serious ones, at least to my eyes.
for sure.
Um and so I was like, I don't know how threatening that is to me right now. So maybe he's just better to keep here, like for them
Maybe.
as well, because then it's like, oh, like their ally isn't gone. Like they don't have a reason to be like, oh, you had it out for him. But then when I
Right.
saw like how close, like I really started like, I could tell that Morgan was more upset, I felt like, about Vince being nominated than about Zach. And I was like, okay, that made me kind of want to send Vince home because I was like, that's concerning.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was
Yep.
like, fell into that trap of it might be too soon to send someone like him home. And maybe Zach's just
Mm.
an easier option to vote for.
Yeah. 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 That's really interesting.
And
Yeah,
also,
I
I
went
had
back.
been explicitly told that I switched to for sure Zach. I had been explicitly told that Zach would definitively put me up for like a week and a half straight if he got HOH.
You know what? He was going
Yeah.
to. But that's
I was
just what
like,
he said.
I'm one of his first three noms without a doubt. As Zach gets
Yeah.
HOH. And I was like, Vince, I don't know. So I was like,
That makes sense.
yeah. And I think I even told him that when I won the veto. He was like, when he was trying to be like, I know you're not going to use it on me, but like, I have to ask. And I was like, yeah, I heard that you would put me up. So I don't really trust you.
Well, was there ever a moment though you considered using the veto? Maybe not on Zach, but on
I was going to
Vince,
use it on
potentially.
Keanu if I was going to use it. And I
Stop.
knew that would make people put me up even more likely in the future. But I was in the DR
Yeah.
literally saying to them, I was like, in a perfect world, I would literally use it on Keanu, but there's too much backlash.
Why? What was the strategy? So were you guys aligned at that point?
No,
What
but
would you?
I knew if I used it on him that you could not buy like more loyalty from somebody than if I had used a veto on
Yeah,
him.
100%, 100%. And you know who would have been up? Morgan. It would have been Zach, Vince, and Morgan on the block.